Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett Hollywood royalty. But behind the red carpets and flashing cameras, something deeper and more agonizing was happening. For decades, Lee Majors said almost little about their drama split. Until now, after years' silence, ends with Lee's confession about his lost love and what truly felt after Farrah left. Come join us, we learn the history of silence and the awful truth Lee Majors just confirmed before the spotlight. Before becoming Hollywood's most talked about couples, Lee Majors and two persons were Farrah Fawcett, chasing huge aspirations in a fast-paced world. Their start was humbled, but somehow those differences would unite them felt unexpected and inevitable. Lee Uri Harvey Lee Majors was born April 23, 1939 in Wyandotte, Michigan. His early childhood was hard. He lost both his parents before age 2. After relatives reared him in Middlesbrough, KY. Growing up in the little southern town, Lee learnt to be powerful and quiet. He remained silent much about his feelings and hid to himself. It would stay with him all his life. In his teens, Lee liked sports more than acting. He played football well. Player and received a scholarship at university. Later, he joined Eastern Kentucky, continued playing at university sports. After a back injury, his football dreams ended. He started thinking then. Genuine interest in acting. In the beginning 1960s, Lee relocated to LA to give making an effort. His strong jawline, his lofty frame, and quiet assurance seemed at home on film. Casting directors saw him away. After tiny roles, he got 1965 was his breakthrough when he was cast Heath Barkley in TV western The Big Valley. Co-starring with big names like Barbara Stanwyck, audiences embraced him. Lee was reliable, diligent, and never lazy flaunted. Not trying to steal spotlight, but nobody stopped observing him. Had that rare screen presence that convinced viewers him. In the late 1960s, Lee Majors was a rising star. He wasn't showy, but producers trusted him. His calm, serious energy perfected his subtle strength roles. He maintained a quiet profile off-screen. He skipped certain parties. Pursue headlines. He appeared concentrated, constant, devoted. Exact kind of man who could anchor others' life in a flash. Farrah Fawcett was born Corpus Christi, February 2, 1947, Texas. Her family was tight. Family and was known early on for natural beauty. She wasn't just beautiful. She was friendly and fun. Bright charisma that attracted people. A popular high school cheerleader, school, and won beauty contests during her teens. Her big smile, bright eyes, and sunburned hair distinguished her wherever she went. After graduating high school, Farrah joined the University of Texas. In college, she was called among the 10 most attractive coeds in the nation. Her title brought her Hollywood agents noticed. At first, she wasn't sure she wanted leaving Texas, but she decided taking a risk and relocated to LA, explore modeling in LA. Once in LA, people noticed quickly. Farrah. Photographers cherished working with her. Her photographs caught something beautiful, warm, and special open energy. She possessed the unusual talent to appear chic and welcoming simultaneous. She soon appeared in ads, magazines, and tiny televised roles. Farrah had a presence that warranted attention. Even before her fame, people felt she was intended for more. In the late 1960s, Lee Majors Farrah Fawcett was debuted at party in LA. According to friends who were there when they something clicked when met. Lee was already a big Valley star. Fa was still entering. Industry. They lost touch. Beyond appearance or career. They dating soon after that first meeting. As Farrah's star rise, Lee was softly by her side, supporting her. What they looked like love. It was true for a while. But as their careers grew and world watched, clinging upon that love was harder than all expected. A Hollywood power couple. By the Lee Majors and Farrah Fawcett, early 1970s became one of the most discussed entertainment couples. Their romance grew steadily from when they met in 1973, tied the knot. At that time, they appeared to have everything. Fame, beauty, love, promising careers. Lee and Farrah married July 1973. To fans and media, it felt like a fairy story. A serious TV personality, Hester, and a rising beauty with charm and charisma. They looked great, always smiling, together stylish. Their wedding drew both, tried to keep your attention, rather private, emphasizing personal bond than on publicity. In the same year, Lee Majors reached the largest Colonel Steve's career role. Austin, $6 million dude. The show huge success. It recounted man rebuilt using high-tech bodily parts. It popularized Lee rapidly. Name. Every week, millions saw him perform. While as Lee became a TV celebrity, Farrah also increased. She started appearing in more national ads, specifically hair products. Her sunny beauty and lively grin made her favorites in modeling. She also started getting TV gigs, slowly gaining fame in films herself. Lee was already established, proud of her, and he lauded Farrah's beauty in interviews and talent, and openly discussed how he adored and trusted her. While everything looked great from there, outside, fissures appeared underlying their marriage. They struggled most with timetables. Lee worked long hours filming the $6 million man, spending days or even weeks on set. Meanwhile, Farrah attended auditions, collaborating with photographers and attempting to advance her career. They attempted at first, but over time, their separation started to hurt. They had careers flying in various directions. Simply spending time together gradually grew difficult. Even then, under one roof, they often exhausted or preoccupied. What began small distances developed emotional distance. Lee was raised with strong principles that valued marriage. He hoped their connection would last. He tried to keep things together. Farrah, still in love with Lee, was also feeling the need to stand alone. She didn't want simply as Lee Major's wife. She desired her own job, identity, be taken seriously in Hollywood. They still loved. As Farrah's celebrity grew, distance their relationship was just beginning. Fame wrecked everything. In 1976, life changed overnight for Farrah Fawcett. So far, she had been steadily growing, booking modeling jobs, appearing ads, and tiny TV roles. But when she joined the cast of She became more than Charlie's Angels' mere popular actress. She became a worldwide symbol. Fame came quickly and loud, scooped up everything path, including her marriage to Lee Major. Charlie's Angels debuted in 1976 with Farrah Fawcett as Jill Monroe, one of three female private investigators for a mysterious boss Charlie. The show was eclectic, drama, elegance, and action. It hit instantly, unnerved spectators. Audiences liked the glamorous female leaders. Farrah stood out instantly. Her hair, smile, and confidence on screen made her the face of the show. Almost overnight, Farrah got famous. People couldn't get enough of her. She was invited to every big event, featured in entertainment magazine, and continually paparazzi follows. But her fame kept going. Around the same period Farrah posed, Charlie's Angels flew a swimsuit poster that would become a renowned image of the 20th century. Plain redone piece swimsuit. She grinned immediately toward the camera with her mark light catching feathered hair right. Over 12 million people bought that photo. Copies, more than any poster ever then. But while the globe praising Farrah's rise, home life Lee Major's became more complicated. Farrah's new fame had continual requests. Her schedule was full of interviews and photo ops, award shows, appearances. Brands to work with her. TV producers offered her more roles. Editors of magazines asked her for covers frequently. Her life was a whirlwind. Publicity. Lee Major, a veteran well-known TV celebrity thanks to $6 millionaire, understood fame. Like he had experienced it, but even he was startled by how fast when Farrah's life changed drastically. Her fame overtook her. Suddenly, the former time together became tougher to find. Their former privacy shared relationship with million strangers and their daily contact waned. Lee tried to hold. He knew they were busy. Both were, but he wanted to win. Unique moments that made theme a particular relationship. One time, he asked Farrah's producers if filming schedule could be tweaked. They might have supper several times. Nights a week. Not a big request, just to stay near. But Farrah reportedly declined. She didn't want anyone to think she needed her spouse or professional choices based on marriage. That choice hurt Lee hard. He always backed, however. Farrah was beginning his career. To feel outdated. Their former power bonding was getting harder. As fame grew for Farrah, the space between them did. Even then, we're in the same room. It seemed like lived in different worlds. And just when it seemed impossible, increased distance. Something unexpected changed all for good. That affair changed everything. By the late 1970s, Lee Major and Farrah Fawcett considered the perfect Hollywood couple. Thought they were. Though still legal marriage, their relationship faded. Fame, busyness, and growth, emotional barriers separated them slowly. What followed wasn't just distance. Very heartbreaking. Crowd scale. The final blow came in Ryan O'Neal, another dude. Ryan O'Neal was no ordinary celebrity. Farrah's group. He was Lee Major truly knew. Indeed, they had been pals. Both were famous performers. They shared an era and route often crossed an industry. They attended similar events, worked similar circles, and had some mutual respect from being in the same firm. Thus, when the first photos of Farrah and Ryan started magazine and tabloid appearances, Lee was hit severely. Photos showed holding hands, smiling trade carpet events, appearing very much like a pair. These were public. Unexpected moments. They were in plain sight, yet Lee had no idea was coming. The worst part was that Lee learned the same way everyone else through the press. There were none. No personal chats, no warnings. Once, Farrah was his paper wife. Next, the Globe saw her photos and Ryan like they were the next big thing in Hollywood love. During her time relationship with Ryan is public O'Neal, Farrah was lawful. Married Lee Major. They divorced. Would finish in 1982. Meant everything the public saw play out between Farrah and Ryan while she was married else. Close friends say Lee was utterly surprised. He was aware his marriage to Farrah was troubled. He still believed there was a chance they could reunite. He tried to mend it. Things. He requested time together. He remained loyal during their emotional link waning. The news of Ryan and Farrah's relationship, especially how it went public, he was crushed swiftly. There always was hushed suggestion that Farrah's relationship with Ryan may have begun. She and Lee were still trying to save their marriage. Some think the affair began before public view ever knew. The timing is unclear, but Lee probably didn't care. What important was that his beloved believed and had left without even farewell. In cases like celebrities often go directly to the press. They defend and interview their name, or even blame others person. Lee Major did not. He remained mute. Neither interviews nor comments, no rage. He didn't talk about the treachery and didn't seek public sympathy. Instead, he vanished. Complete chat. He quit. To events where Farrah may appeared. He declined requests for interviews. Ask about his marriage. He never magazine stories were amended. And he hardly mentioned Farrah again. Nah, not long. His silence became his message. It was his method of defending himself from additional hurt, maybe from his public show. Private life became. Over time, Lee's total retreat from Farrah world grew clear. As she moved acceptance of her new partnership and remaining visible, Lee faded away. He didn't desire narrative participation anymore. What was once shared narrative belonged to Farrah alone. Those Lee confidant described that time as profound emotional agony. He wasn't just broken, he was disillusioned. The woman he married, supported, had become someone he no longer trusted, recognized less. The worst part was that everything happened in front of millions. His heartbreak was more than personal. It was public. Lee never sought to change how people saw things. He didn't want compassion. He never explained his side story. Many believed he had moved on. But pals disagreed. Never the same, they remarked after Farrah that something in him had closed. Yes, he dated other ladies. He kept his distance, as if he had determined to defend his heart from them. Farrah did the opposite. She used her celebrity. Her new Ryan relationship. The tabloids covered their ups and downs closely. Relationship was far from simple. They split, argued, and reconciliations foresee the Globe. But she stayed visible, never leaving the spotlight. As Farrah's public tale continued, Lee was absent visible. No one saw him at her events. He didn't critique her work, not bitterness. It was more like he ended that chapter his life. Even after leaving, more was coming. And almost something unexpected happened years later. Divorce and almost reunion. Lee Major and Farrah Fawcett officially divorced in 1982. It ended their marriage on paper, but not necessarily the end their tale. Following was a lengthy stillness, separation, and unfinished feelings. While public, moving to other Hollywood news, the truth is they never connected. Truly vanished. It remained buried over years of suffering, missed opportunities, and unrequited love. Totally recovered. Following their divorce, Lee Major was single for nearly 20 years. He acted and stayed industry active, but close tell him he was never the same emotionally. His next big project was television series The Fall Guy from 1981-1986 that advanced his career, that sustained his fame. But something differed. That emotional spark once characterized him. That quiet charm made him so appealing seemed to have dimmed. Friends of Lee during those years described him as but distant. He was polite, professional, and carried that old-school charisma, but he didn't tintry as simple. It seemed like he had insulated himself emotionally. Some thought his heartbreak was real, suffered with Farrah altered his approach to relationships. He dated, but none of those partnerships seemed durable. Many said he never allowed himself as close to anyone again. Lee never disclosed remarks about his ex-wife while time. Despite media attention, he remained silent, kept covering Farrah's life. He opted not to defend himself his account of what transpired. His silence wasn't about anger. Self-pity seemed to be involved. Protection. Too deep was the pain. Reopening that chapter wasn't he wanted to. Farrah Fawcett stayed in the spotlight. Her Ryan connection often chaotic and dramatic. O'Neill the media followed them everywhere. They split and reunited several times. There were public debates, interviews about the miscues and photographs of them smiling month and distant next. It was evident their love was genuine, but complicated. Farrah's career was up and down. After she worked hard to be Charlie's Angels respected as an actress, even taking on more serious roles plays in TV movies. Some of her performances were applauded. Critics, and she proved she had talent beyond beauty. Still, she was never entirely escaping her image the 1970s. Part of her fame was her identity, and that came with steady focus. Despite setbacks, Farrah continued going. Herself publicly. She wasn't frightened to express or show feelings openly discussing her issues. Her vulnerability made her relatable. Numerous, but it stood out sharply unlike Lee Majors handling privately suffer heartbreak distance. In the early 2000s, something unexpected occurred. A shared friend Lee and Farrah reportedly approached up both with a basic idea, private reunion. No journalists, cameras, pressure. Only two sitting to talk after years apart. Sources close to them say Farrah was receptive. Enough time passed, and she softened toward her Lee recollections. She previously adored him seems open to reconnecting solely for communication and peace. Lee, however, was more hesitant. At first, he listened. He even privately admitted missing the former Farrah, the young woman he loved before fame changed everything. Concept of seeing previous feelings return to her, pleasant and uncomfortable. But ultimately, Lee declined. His tone wasn't angry. Or animosity. Just didn't want to get back. Too much had transpired. Too much time passed. He'd spent years attempting to move on, put that past life chapter. And whereas rejoining was considered temptation, he concluded it wasn't worth opening the wound. His silence once again spoke volumes. A 2006 Farrah Fawcett had an unusual disease. Aggressive cancer. News of her illness spread swiftly, and many in public tracked her progress. Farrah recorded her experience, video diaries, shared later documentary that showed the world uncooked. An open look at her struggle. Lee Majors never gave up during her sickness that visited her. He kept quiet. About her diagnosis. Some perceived that as frigid, but his friends understood it differently. Lee decided long ago to avoid her world. It was not indifferent. That was it. Remote care became the norm. His only coping mechanism. Sources close to Lee says he followed developments quietly. He was aware and was genuinely moved, but stayed silent as usual. He lamented in secret as he had done every portion of their split. There were none. Magnificent gestures, quiet sadness from a former lover entirely, and had never discovered a solution to cease. However, he preserved his Lee concluded with distance. Farrah's death showed his extent held within. Lee Major final confirmation. Fawcett died June 25, 2009, after a protracted illness. Public cancer fight. Her death was felt worldwide. Fans lamented her, media covered her life again. Career, and her followers' journey remembered her beyond pop culture icon, but a woman who struggled fearlessly to the finish. Lots of people wondered how Lee Majors would react. He was previously the closest to her life, her husband, someone who supported her before her name was famous. For decades, he had barely mentioned her. Nobody authored a memoir or delivered an interview about their relationship, never tried to explain his side of the story. When Farrah died, would he breach the silence? After Farrah died, Lee Major made a brief announcement. One sentence, yet it spoke a lot. She was an earthly angel now an eternal angel. He said nothing else. He stopped talking to cameras. He didn't conduct interviews. No one saw him at memorial services or public activities. He kept his distance as usual. Importantly, he skipped her funeral. That choice may have affected some that seemed chilly or dismissive, but Toho knew his past. It made sense for Farrah. His silence wasn't about disregarding her death. It was not about safeguarding his feelings buried for years. Saying anything more would have made him relive it. Heartbreak after doing so hard abandon. People close to Lee Majors have talked about how he handled his breakup with Farrah. Friends said Lee had much of his sorrow is over before Fa's illness. She left him, lived with someone else. Something altered him. He had silently abandoned their dream, even if he never ceased caring her. By Farrah's death, Lee wasn't ready to reopen in 2009. Old wounds. He didn't need to decide. Public appearance to show concern. Staying away may have been best. Only way he knew to handle the loss. Going to funeral or speaking publicly may have hurt. It would have taken him back. He avoided it for decades. Those many close to him confirmed suspected. Lee never really stopped caring. But after all that occurred between them, he chose distance. Not angry, but because reopening that chapter meant opening emotional wounds. He didn't desire attention. He didn't want headlines. He didn't want to compete with others' sorrow. Just wanted to mourn softly. Over time, many questioned what Lee Majors cared about Farrah Fawcett. His silence allowed for many guesses, rumors, and guesses. Some thought he had moved on smoothly. Others thought he had raged or chilled. However, Farrah died, and Lee delivered one brief, sincere statement. Everything changed clear. His silence was never about not caring. It was opposite. He had loved her passionately. That love fell. He never forgot it. Truly faded. Discussing her publicly lives or their past meant he opened up. Ready, possibly in ways he never wanted face. That ultimate affirmation, truth silently conveys more than any interview ever could. It indicates that some heartbreaks aren't resolved. Some wounds aren't for display for the globe, and love stories not because they're incomplete because they matter so much. If you found this video fascinating, like it, subscribe and bell to never miss Bass Up Hollywood's biggest unforgettable tales. Thank you for watching.